Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, the state government is gearing up for scrutiny from all sides of Parliament after delivering its 8th budget last week. But Labor will have its own battle to fight as it attempts to turn the focus away from embattled former leader David O'Byrne when Parliament resumes on Tuesday.
18 months after the pandemic struck, the number of tourists usually seen pouring into Hobart's Duke Hotel has dramatically sunk.
We've seen a massive drop in revenue, being a tourism-facing business. Also with 2 quarantine hotels across the road, there's just no tourists coming in.
A support package targeted at getting businesses through the pandemic was recently unveiled by the state government, but Labor says only a JobKeeper-style investment will keep small operators afloat.
Business owners like Doug have invested on the basis of this being a big part of Tasmania's future, and we can't abandon them now. We have to give them the support they need.
The Premier has outlined a willingness to do that, but applications have only just opened. Rebecca White and Labor actually have no policies for small business, proven at the recent election.
As the Finance Minister turns his attention to the budget bill set to be debated in Parliament this week, the Greens want to see action taken on the ballooning priority housing waitlist.
Needs to be prioritised now. And what we've got is a government that continues to prioritise roads and high-vis vests over homes for the people of Tasmania.
With a cloud still looming over David O'Byrne and the allegations surrounding him, the Parliamentary Labor Party will be regrouping ahead of a busy few sitting weeks as it attempts to turn the focus on holding the government to account.
That every single day we're walking into the Parliament or we're doing our job in the community representing the views of those people who right now have been forgotten by the Liberal government.
The Greens will deliver their own alternative budget this week, but Labor has no plans to do the same. Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmanian News.
Droves of Essendon and Western Bulldogs fans have stormed into Launceston for the finale to a blockbuster finals weekend. Some went to extreme lengths to see their side on Tasmanian soil.
It was a date with destiny few die-hard fans could ignore, an elimination final in our own backyard.
I saw them in Melbourne a few years ago, and this is my first time seeing them in Tassie.
Draped in their team colours, they travelled by all means possible. A wave of red and black flooded onto 3 separate planes at Paravion's Hobart base.
The fans are just turning up now and they're all looking pretty excited.
We thought, how often will you see Essendon in Tasmania? I thought we've got to get in it.
However, some took the more traditional route. A busload of bombers made the 3-hour trek north for the historic finals first.
We'll go anywhere, anytime to support our team.
The gates opened to huge queues of footy-hungry fans. Those wearing blue were outnumbered, but what they lack in size, they say they make up for.
Go Titans!
In support.
It's a challenge. We'll be louder.
Most have waited decades for this rare and golden opportunity.
I invested in this suit about 7 years ago in Singapore. Custom made, ready for the Bombers' big day. That day's today.
Police praising the behaviour of crowds over the weekend, while the state government was also pleased with mask compliance.
Only a small number of people had to be reminded. That's a great outcome.
Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
A man in his 50s has been taken into custody for allegedly evading police in Greater Hobart this morning. Authorities pulled the man over on Macquarie Street for a breath test when he allegedly returned a blood alcohol reading in excess of the legal limit. Police say he then fled the scene in a white Holden utility, travelling through Rokeby towards Campania, hitting an unoccupied police car on the way. Police deployed road spikes on Richmond Road shortly before the man was taken into custody. Meanwhile, police are warning Tasmanians to be safe on the roads after a 22-year-old P-plater was caught driving nearly 50 kilometres an hour above the speed limit on the Bass Highway last night. A Tasmanian car club roared into Oatlands today to mark a very special birthday. Members bringing their prized vehicles along to celebrate 40 years of appreciating, fixing up and driving the iconic EH Holden.
Steering into the past. Dating back to the 60s, these vintage wagons out on display, marking 4 decades of a club dedicated to E.H. Holden's.
So today we're having our 40th anniversary of the E.H. Holden Car Club, and it's started down the south of the island and it's gradually spread right through the island, so we now have, I think, about 80 members.
Members from across the state parking their beloved cars together to mark the occasion.
My first car was an EH when I was 18. Had a love affair with them ever since. Decided to get back into them in later years.
While taking a look at old memorabilia, honouring the history of the EH model and club.
This was the most number of vehicles of one model ever built. There was like 259,000 of these built in an 18-month period. So they were, very popular back in the day, and still remain popular to this day.
It's really just about nostalgia and seeing these cars that were running around from the baby boomers.
So we just love our EHs.
Some different models also on show, including this 1957 FE Holden Ute.
I bought it and it was rather in a bad state of repair, and I did it up and modified it, and I've had it for years. It's lovely.
Ruby Kameen, 7 Tasmanian News.
To TSL, and the Kingborough Tigers TSL season is over after suffering a 21-point loss to Clarence. The Roos started and finished the match the strongest, but may be nervous about 2 suspects likely to be scrutinised.
The ramifications of a loss at Blunston Arena would be fatal for the year, so it was no surprise the knockout match nerves were on show early. This, however, would have settled those in red. With it all on the line, the midfield was congested and at times scrappy, both sides squandering opportunities in front of goal. 2 careless Clarence tackles also likely to draw scrutiny from the match review panel. The Tigers were bloodied and bruised but refused to give in, only a goal the margin at half-time. But by the end of the third quarter, Clarence's lead had blown out to 20.
Directly in front, makes no mistake, and that's a lifter for the Roos.
An early major in the final term offered fleeting hope of a late Tigers charge.
Tigers outside of the boot! The Tigers hit the scoreboard!
But the celebrations ended there as the clock elapsed on the match and their 2021 campaign. The in-form Roos now take on the minor premiers Launceston next week, an outfit they defeated just over a fortnight ago. Garth Burley, 7 Tasmanian News.
Good evening. 12 across Hobart and Launceston today. Burnie and Devonport reaching 11. 15 was the state's top at King Island. St Helens and Strawn 12 and 13 at Flinders Island. On the close-up shows low cloud covering most of the state. Further out, a cloud band lies over Victoria and New South Wales, while mid to high level cloud is seen over southern WA. Tomorrow week high lies over the mainland except for southern areas. North to northwesterly winds tomorrow, 25 to 35 knots about the west in the afternoon. Swells up to 3 metres in the west and south and below 1 metre in the north. A gale warning is current for southern and western coastal waters for southeast Cape to Stanley Cape for northerly winds, and a strong wind warning for northwestern coastal waters from Sandy Cape to Stanley and for eastern coastal waters from St Helens Point to southeast Cape. Tomorrow's forecast now 17 across Hobart and Ouse, Dover, partly cloudy. In the north, Launceston and Devonport, a shower or 2, 13 in Scottsdale. Burnie tomorrow 14, a shower or 2 about Strawn and Stanley. St Helens and Swansea, partly cloudy, and 14 at Ross. Looking ahead to the 3-day forecast, Tuesday showers in the west and north extending statewide. Wednesday fine with north to northwesterly winds about the west, and Thursday looking fine and warm. Capital cities, a shower or 2 and 19 in Perth tomorrow. Adelaide mostly sunny and 34 in Darwin. And currently Hobart 11 and cloudy, Launceston showers, Devonport 9 and rain, and Loo spring starts this week. We'll have a taste of some warm weather, but you may need an umbrella with some rain throughout the week.